pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
DeYoung.
Here.
Bachowin.
Here.
Vanderhorst.
Here.
Van Strylen.
Here.
Skibout. Peterson.
Here. Very good. I would like to announce that there will be a policy and planning meeting following the regular council meeting to discuss some personal policy manual changes. We'll move on to B2, approval of the tentative agenda. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Van Strylen?
Support.
Support Bachhoven. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk, call the roll.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Bachowin.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Skibout. Peterson.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Motion carried. On to the public forum. If there's anyone in attendance that would like to address the council regarding any agenda items, please step forward, state your name, where you live, and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll move on to section C, approval of the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Skibout?
Support.
Support Van Strylen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk, call the roll.
Skibout. Van Strylen.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Bachowin.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Motion carried. On to petitions and communications. Number 1A, special event permit request for the for the Pella Opera House concert rewind tribute to Rascal Flatts. Mike, if you'd explain, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to. I'd like to refer everyone's attention to the big board for a brief presentation of this item. The special event permit request that we have this evening is from the Pella Opera House. It's for Friday, July 13th, and as the event stated, it is a tribute to Rascal Flatts. And the event is scheduled to be held on the Mullendraw Plaza. Now, generally, this is the same area for the Friday, the same area that the event is scheduled to take place for Fridays after 5. And so it's a general area right here. Mullendraw is located right here. The requested alley closure is right up here. Okay, let's go ahead, please, Mary. Now, we do have some details of the event, assuming if council were to approve the event, the description of the services that will be, activities that will be offered for the event are listed up on the big board. Now, Mr. Mayor, it is important to note that all pertinent city departments have reviewed this application, and in addition, the insurance certificate has been received, and we are recommending approval this evening for this as well. So, with that, Mr. Mayor, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may also may have on this request.
Thank you, Mike. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
DeYoung, support Peterson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk, call the roll.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Bachowin.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Skibout.
On to 1B, resolution number 5874, entitled a resolution temporarily closing public ways or grounds in connection with a special event known as Pella Opera House Concert Rewind Tribute to Rascal Flatts. Mike, is there anything to add?
No, sir.
Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Vanderhorst.
Support.
Support Van Strylen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk, call the roll.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Skibout. Peterson.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Bachowin.
Yes.
Motion carried. On to item number 2, Windstream presentation. Mike, if you could please explain.
Yes.
Introduction.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do have Windstream here tonight, and they are scheduled to make a presentation on their plans on expanding their telecommunications services to the citizens of Pella. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to representatives from Windstream.
Good evening. I appreciate your time. My name is Brad Hedrick. I'm President of Operations for Windstream, for Iowa, and for other states. I have some of my associates with me tonight. Greg Gray, he is Director of Operations for Iowa. Andy Kraber, he is the manager for South Central Iowa, including Pella. And Nate Bradbury is not here, but Cindy Estet, who is a manager in our Newton call center, where we have over 100 call center agents serving our Iowa customers. So Windstream at a glance, we are a Fortune 500 company. so we are one of the largest companies in the country. Just a couple of things I want to point out on the right. I'm not going to go through every single item on every slide because we just don't have the time for that. We've invested $3 billion in capital into our network over the last 3 years, and we're going to show you some of the things we've done. And we're going to continue to invest. And we have over 150,000 fiber miles across the country. And that's important as we develop our backbone infrastructure for internet services. So I'm going to go from big picture overall to Iowa and then specifically Pella. So that is a picture, a map of the United States, continental US. Windstream operates in all 48 continental states. We have a very fiber-rich network, but fiber in itself is worthless until you put electronic equipment on it. And so we have developed a network that we call Winterstate. Interstate, Windstream, Winterstate. And this is a transport network that derives up to 80 100 gig channels on a pair of fibers. And we have a very intense network across the Midwest and the East, and we're expanding our network to the West. But this is very important because this provides connections. But you can need more than just connections. You have to have routing capabilities, and so we overlay a routing network on that. But first, the next slide just shows you on the right is what that Winterstate equipment looks like in our Des Moines central office, and on the left is a larger office in downtown Chicago, just representative of what those nodes look like in all of those locations. So a significant amount of capital investment. As I mentioned, we have to have an IP network. This is really our core internet. This is the 5th largest IP network in the country. And at our tier 1 sites, like a Chicago and a Denver, which is where Des Moines interconnects into both of those, and a Dallas and an Atlanta, several of those key sites, that's where we interconnect into other tier 1 providers. So essentially how we get to the world. We also interconnect and peer with most major content providers, their data centers at those sites is where we interconnect with them. So that's where we would connect to a Google, to a Netflix, to an Amazon, and multiple of those across the country. So it's a very robust network. It is designed to be very diverse, very protected, very redundant. And that is what the mesh configuration, so at Des Moines we have 4 of those Juniper MX960 routers. That's roughly $5 million worth of routing equipment right there. So moving on, we have a very fiber-rich network in Iowa. But again, fiber in itself doesn't do you any good until you overlay transmission equipment and routing on top of it to create a network. And that's what we have done. This is just a close-up view that shows the fiber connection from Pella, a south route back up into Des Moines, and a north route back up into Des Moines. So we overlay a different type of transport equipment, gear made by Cyan. They've since been acquired by Sienna. But with this equipment, we've got a ring-protected network also. So Pella is ring-protected back through Grinnell and Knoxville to create this ring. And this ring is made up of this equipment. So here's what it looks like in Grinnell. We have one of these. Oh, I got myself there. We have one of these right over here in our Pella central office. And it does have 100 gig capability. So our backbone internet bandwidth into Pella, we have 100 gig of bandwidth. So tremendous amount of bandwidth in and out of Pella. Routing, so similar to those Juniper MX960 routers in the core, in our distribution network within Iowa, and really all across all of our other states in our distribution network, we use 7750 broadband network gateways, and that's what that looks like in the Grinnell central office. Just again, another closer up map of our fiber coming in and out of Pella. So then it gets to that last mile. How do we get to the home? Predominantly, we overlay a DSL technology digital subscriber line on our copper last mile network. And so we have the D-slams in the central office and located in other fiber connected areas. We use now two twisted pairs. We call that bonded VDSL service. VDSL2 is the latest and greatest of the technologies. And we currently get up to 100 meg of bandwidth at 1,500 feet. In 2019, we're going to roll out a new version of this that will get up to 400 meg on two pairs at that distance. It is a distance-sensitive technology, so the further you are away from the serving node, the amount of speed decreases.
Does it have to be on a copper pair?
It does for this technology. We have deployed some other technologies. We have deployed fiber to the premise in some areas, in Iowa and in some other states. We are also deploying some fixed wireless technology, but that's predominantly in our more rural Iowa markets. We have a very robust fiber network in Pella. I'm going to talk about some additional investments we are currently making. So that's what the broadband serving node, the D-SLAM, looks like, and that is a picture of the one over here in our Pella central office. So today, we really only got 2 serving nodes. And the next slide will pretty much show you that we have some pretty inadequate service in parts of Pella. We have good service in parts of Pella, but we acknowledge that we have service that is not up to what customers are expecting in portions of Pella, especially to the north. So we are in the process of locating 7 additional nodes. We call this part of our Project Lunar, where we are putting more distributed nodes out into the network. And this will allow us to push that node closer, shorten up the copper loop, increase the speeds. So these projects are all currently underway. We've done all of the engineering. Andy informed me we've started to receive some of the equipment. So over the next 30 to 60 days, these nodes will be turned up and we'll have a much more robust service all across Pella. And we'll continue to evaluate where we need to add additional nodes. But as I mentioned, our speed profiles are going to be increasing in 2019 also. And we're rolling out a special promotion, $30 for up to 25 meg. It gets a little bit more a price, but not too much to get up to our current 100 meg top. So I went through those slides pretty quickly. Is there anything you'd like me to revisit, or you have specific questions that you'd like me to address?
Any questions? What are we doing for reliability? I mean, there have been issues where we've been down for periods of time, and quite often, quite frankly.
Yeah, so the root of those issues goes back to
Not
that.
necessarily reliability.
Yeah. We've had some issues with that Grinnell 7750, and we've been working with our IP engineering team, but it's been pretty stable here for the last several months, so I'm hopeful that we've got those issues resolved. They were predominantly related to a software bug that we believe has been taken care of.
I mean, I'll be very frank and honest with you. As mayor and council, I would tell you that that is probably the #1 issue that I get called on is telecommunications, network, internet, those kind of issues, which we don't have anything to do with, but
Right.
we still hear the complaints.
I understand. I get it, sir.
So, any other?
But we are very hopeful that you will find these upgrades and additional enhancements attractive for Pella. We've invested a lot of money in this network. We're going to continue to invest, and we would like to partner with you and be your service provider of choice.
Just a suggestion, maybe
Yes, sir.
try and staff, local staff a little bit more. As a business person, I had 2 weeks consecutive that I was out for 8 days. That hurts a business.
Yeah, I understand. So,
And it's just that the guys can't get there. Just a point. Not looking for an explanation, just a point. You could certainly
but I'm happy to
improve
provide
our
an
service.
explanation. So we have been hiring a lot of additional technicians. In fact, we've got over 30 new hires since the start of the year. My biggest drawback right now is I'm waiting on 19 service vehicles. We got 3 in last week. Did we get in this week yet, Greg? No. So that's part of the issue, but as soon as we get those in, and that's all across Iowa, but you know, there's additional positions that have been added here in Pella, in Knoxville. Andy, how many hires have you made here?
We've doubled the number of staff here.
Staff here.
Yeah, we
Trying
had
to
2
source-
guys, now we have.
Where are you sourcing those vehicles from?
The vast majority of them are Dodge Rams. We do buy some of them locally, so if you know somebody I should be talking to.
I'm just always, the point is it's always good to do business in the communities that you do
Yes,
business
sir.
in. So
Yes, sir.
whether you're sourcing equipment, electrical service providers, or whatever, it goes a long way to supporting the community when you buy your products there, so.
Agreed. Anyone else? Anything? Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Thank you.
You probably don't want me to run off with that.
No, thank you.
Very good, we will move on to resolutions. Number 1, resolution number 5875, entitled a resolution adopting health and dental plan premiums for fiscal year 1819. Mike, if you'd explain, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to, Mr. Mayor. So this resolution approves the city's health insurance and dental plan rates for fiscal year 2018-2019. So this would be the fiscal year that will start on July 1st of this year. It extends through June 30th, 2019. Now, as council is aware, we approve rates on an annual basis. And so let's go ahead, Mary, with this, please. Now, as council is also aware that we've recently, actually, we've been in Iowa Community Trust for the last 3 years, I believe. And what that's really done is allowed us to really stabilize health insurance rates and health insurance costs for the city of Pella. Now, as far as the proposed rates for 2019 fiscal year or 2019, we're proposing to remain the same. Total cost for single coverage would be $497 for single coverage and $1,047 per month for family coverage. Now, according to the city's personnel manual, employees would be responsible for 10% of the total single and family premium on that. Now, as far as dental rates are concerned, it is important to note that city employees pay 100% of the cost of dental insurance for dental insurance. But we are projecting a rate increase for the dental plans. Currently, the monthly premiums are $23.29 for single and $77.25 for family coverage. The renewal rates will actually go up to $25.39 for single coverage and $84.20 for family coverage. Now, with that, it is important to note that it is a 9% increase that is being proposed for both of these rates. Employees pay 100% of the cost. Based on our review and our insurance broker's review of this, this is the best coverage that we would be able to receive in our analysis on it. And so we are recommending approval of the dental plan premiums as well. So overall, as far as healthcare premiums, no change in premiums for the rates for 2019. Dental care premiums are forecasted to increase by 9%. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes our presentation this evening. We're more than happy to answer any questions the mayor and council may have on this item.
Thank you, Mike. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Steve Ott. Support. Support DeYoung. Discussion?
That's pretty rare to keep health care premiums the same.
I wouldn't kick about the 9% on the dental care knowing the health insurance isn't going up any, so.
How many people take advantage of health, or dental, excuse me?
Mary, help me out as far as the total plan participants.
About 50% of the employees do.
So So it's about 45 to 50 employees, and then the 45 to 50 employees.
Right.
Very good. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk call the roll.
Skibout.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Bachoven.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Motion carried. On to number 2, resolution number 5876, entitled Resolution Approving the Engineering Services Agreement with Garden and Associates for the ACC Overlay Project 2018. Mike, if you'd explain.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, as the mayor stated, what we have on the docket this evening is a proposed engineering services agreement with Garden and Associates, and really what it's for the proposed asphalt overlay projects that we have for 2018. Listed up on the big board are the proposed projects that we would have if council would proceed with the engineering services agreement this evening here. This detail is also included within the council packet as well. Let's go ahead, please, Mary. Now, as far as our experience with Garden and Associates, council is aware of, they've worked on several projects for the city of Pella and handled street projects for us, and overall, city staff is very pleased with the services Garden has been provided with the city of Pella. In addition, we have looked on the outside for engineering services costs. We believe that they're very competitive price on the street project as well. Now, as far as this particular project, what is being proposed is a total estimated contract cost of $99,000. It is important to note that the asphalt overlays are just, the estimated cost for the asphalt overlay projects are about $850,000. So as far as the cost on the engineering services fees for the street projects, we're in that 10 to 12% range, a little over, right around 12% with this as well. Looking at the scope and complexity of the projects with the asphalt overlays, we believe the fees are reasonable, as stated, as proposed rather by Garden and Associates. So with that, Mr. Mayor, we are recommending approval of this agreement this evening. If council were to approve the engineering services agreement with Garden and Associates, we anticipate bidding these projects later on this year, and council will make a decision on proceeding with the construction projects and the number of asphalt overlays. But I think from staff's perspective, there's a number of asphalt overlay projects in the community this year, and there should be significant improvements to the city streets if we proceed with the project as well. But overall, the agreement that we're entertaining this evening, Garden and Associates, estimated cost or projected service fees for that is $99,000. It's for the 2018 overlay projects.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Support.
Support, Van Strylen. Discussion?
When are we gonna let these projects?
You know, with the limited amount of contractors in this particular business, they either do us at the beginning of the spring or at the end of the year. So, you know, we hope to let it in August, but it'll probably be October-ish, end of September, October-ish work. Our debate will be, do we allow them to finish in the spring, or do we squeeze them this fall too? So,
And of course, there won't be multiple bids.
there has been interest of a second contractor bidding in Marion County recently, so we're
That's good.
hopeful there.
That's good news, Dan.
You would think for projects of this size, you'd get that interest too.
You think so? I'm
You would hope.
always a little scared of our estimates in-house, you know, those numbers are a couple years old, and we've got numbers from the industry, and we get bids, and all of a sudden, they went up 20% 2 months later. You know, of course, it's dependent on oil prices too a little bit,
Yeah.
at least that's always their.
All right, very good. Any other comments? See none, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk call the roll.
Skibout.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Bachoven.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Motion carried. We'll move on to ordinances. Item number 1, ordinance number 931, entitled, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of Pella by amending the zoning ordinance 165.11, classification of uses, and table 165.12-2 permitted uses by zoning districts by adding provisions defining brew pub as a use and permitting brew pubs in the CBD, Central Business District, CUC, Mixed Use Urban Center, and the CC Community Commercial Zoning District. This is the ordinance that was tabled February the 6th, 2018 council meeting. Mike, if you'd explain that, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and as council is well aware, we've spent a considerable amount of time talking about microbreweries and brew pubs. Now, it's staff's understanding that council wished to consider the brew pub ordinance or proposed brew pub zoning use ordinance at the same time they considered the microbrewery ordinance. timeline for the microbrewery ordinance is that will be considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission next Monday night. That would be Monday, June 25th. When formal consideration by the Pella City Council will be on Tuesday, July 3rd. We'll have a public hearing on the proposed microbrewery ordinance. So if council, it's staff's understanding that council wanted to address both of them at the same time. So our recommendation would be to leave the rooftop ordinance on the table. Consider this on Tuesday, July 3rd, along with the microbrewery ordinance on the same evening.
Thank you, Mike. In order to facilitate that, I will make a call for a motion if anybody wants to remove this item from the table for consideration. So if we want to leave it on the table, then nobody makes the motion. So we'll just make that clear. So I will now make that request. Is there any motions to remove this item from the table? Seeing none, we will move on to item J, claims, abstract of bills number 2009. Do I hear a motion for approval?
Approve and issue warrants.
Motion to approve and issue warrants by Skibout.
Support.
Support Bachhoven. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk call the roll.
Skibout. Bachhoven.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
Van Strylen.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes. Motion carried. Move on to section K, other business public forum. Do any members of the city council have any issues that they would like to bring forth at this time for consideration? Seeing none, do any members of the audience have any additional information or requests to bring forward to the council at this time? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by Skibout.
Support.
Support by Strylen. All in favor, please say yes. Opposed, no. Clerk call the roll.
Skibout. Van Strylen.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
DeYoung.
Yes.
Bachhoven.
Yes.
Vanderhorst.
Yes.
We are adjourned.